Hi. Hello. Okay, so my name is Kirsten. I am the host for this here podcast, and I'm kind of going off the top of my head right now because I expected to have an episode to upload for this Thursday, and I actually planned for it. I recorded 3 separate times, and every time I went to edit that episode, I hated it. I didn't like it. I was talking about combating negativity and kind of the different ways that I've learned to do it in healthy ways, and kind of the different ways that we don't realize how much negativity is seeping into our lives right now. I'm not saying that everybody's like negative right now. I'm just saying that negativity is really easy to come by these days, and I think it's really important to recognize if you are feeling negativity, where it's coming from, and then learn how to properly, combat it and try to avoid it as much as you can, because your happiness should be priority. I don't know what it was, but I just could not get my thoughts out properly. The first time I recorded, it just did not go well because I thought I didn't prepare. I didn't write any notes down. I was trying to going off the top of my head because I really did have a lot to say, but I kind of just said it in the first 10 minutes of recording, and then for the last 15 minutes I was kind of just rambling about nothing. And then the second time I tried to record, I was in my car and I thought it was good and I edited it and I was just I don't like this at all. Last time I really prepared, and then sometimes when you over prepare, I feel like it still isn't good, So it made me kind of step back and think, okay, what is it that I really want to do for this podcast? And I don't even know if I'm going to upload this, but whatever. Just know that I did have an episode ready for today. I want to broaden the horizon. Yes, I do want to talk about being an introvert. That is my main goal for this podcast. But I also want to make sure that I'm including other experiences in there as well, not just talking about social anxiety in general, because sometimes I just feel like I'm spilling my thoughts out, and I don't want it to feel like a negative space. I really do want it to be uplifting. I want it to feel like people feel heard. I want it to feel like, it's just a chill conversation, and I just don't want it to be negative. And sometimes when you're talking about social anxiety and stuff like that, it has a negative vibe to it. And I realize how much I intend for this to be positive and how much I don't want to just paint myself out to be this individual who doesn't like conversation, interaction, and stuff like that. I love being okay, well, first of all, no, that's not true. I like having a good conversation with somebody, especially when it's flowing and everyone's respectful. Everyone is able to understand other opinions without being, offended. I just like conversation that is deep, effective, and sometimes chill, and isn't offensive to anybody. You know what I mean? I like conversation like that. And the reason I made the podcast was to talk about some of the things that I am really passionate about, some of the things that are going on in the world that I'm passionate about, but also how it kind of wraps into the fact that not everyone always has somebody to comfortably talk about this stuff with. And I feel like a lot of people, well, I'm not going to say that, but I feel like there's some people that are like me. They are introverted. They are maybe in college, not having that stereotypical college experience. I always say that stereotypical college experience because we see this version of college painted on the internet and in movies and on TV shows, that we see it so much that you think that that's the only way to be a college student, and it kind of is discouraging. But my point was, I feel like there's a lot of people that fall in the same boat as I do, but they want to have these conversations with people. They just don't know where to start. And I don't know where to start either. This isn't a podcast to educate somebody on how to not be an introvert. No, it's more of a podcast about going through life as an introverted individual, being okay with your introversion, maybe wanting to venture out socially, not quite sure where to start. It's kind of a learning experience for myself as well. And I'm just sharing my experiences as I'm going about life, and that's just basically it. So I was kind of putting a lot of pressure on myself to have every little aspect of each episode loop into the fact that I don't want to be social. No, that's not really my vibe, and I don't want to do that. I do, though, want to just share my experiences, and they don't have to always loop into the fact that I'm socially anxious. They could just be me talking about something that I went through. Is there going to be a solution each time? Probably not. I just wanted to talk about them and maybe relate to someone else in the process. When I was living at college, I really wanted to relate to somebody. I wanted someone to relate to. I felt like I didn't have anyone to relate to, partly because of that stereotypical college life that is painted out in the media and put on you by people that you know, that you're supposed to be living your best life in college. It's supposed to be the best 4 years of your life, that it's supposed to look one way. It's supposed to take 4 years. Sometimes college takes longer than 4 years, and then you feel bad, like, oh, maybe I'm not doing it properly because it's not looking like that one way that it's always painted. And I really needed someone to relate to. I would go on YouTube, honestly, and look up college vlogs, but all of which were just like, they didn't fall in my category of college, okay? They didn't. I had an interesting college experience just from the start. I did go to 2 colleges, and it was during COVID. It was during the lockdown, pandemic, everything, which kind of shifted a lot for everybody. There was just a lot of ups and downs throughout my college experience. So my podcast is kind of looped in college because that is kind of what my life is right now. And I hope that I'm relating to somebody. As I was saying, though, I needed someone really badly to relate to because I felt like no one else really understood how I was feeling, what was going on, you know? I saw all these people my age going out to parties and clubs and drinking and coming home at 3 a.m, my roommates even, and I didn't know if that's what I wanted to do, but I definitely wondered like how life would be if I did have a few friends to go out with. And I did try to make friends, so much so that I kind of socially exhausted myself. Anyway, I'm not gonna go all deep into this, but my point is I really needed somebody to relate to, and I just didn't have that. So I decided to share my experiences for maybe someone else that needs somebody to relate to. Because I still think it's important in a world where you see all of this information, all of this content of people living their best life on social media, and it's kind of difficult to figure out what's real and what's not. And I feel like it's important to have some trueness to it, like honesty, like and vulnerability. It's not always this one way. And when you're looking online and in the media, it always looks like college is painted this one certain way, and your social life in your 20s is painted in this one way. And I just felt like there needed to be some transparency and some honesty, and sometimes it's not always like that. And when you're only loaded with that type of content, I feel like, you know, it's kind of not easy. It's very easy, to compare yourself to those people. But in reality, there's people with other experiences that we don't really see, because everyone on social media and in the media wants to paint their life out to be perfect. Most of the time. Not all the time, but most of the time. So that's why I made the podcast, and I wanted to make sure that I am clear with that. And I also want to expand and talk about so many other things. Yes, it can relate to being an introvert, and yes, I am still an introvert, and I'm okay with my introversion, and so should you be. And I want to talk about like a lot of my experiences that maybe have led me to become an introvert, and how I honestly feel about college and social media and the world, and I don't know, just a lot of different things. And that's basically it. I have ideas and I have things that I just want to casually talk about, and I don't want to feel like it always has to tie so deeply into like social anxiety, but it will still loop into like introversion and stuff like that. So that's all I had to say. And I did want to say that I did have an episode planned for today, but I guess this is now the episode that I will be uploading today. So thank you for listening to this quick little thing. I appreciate really anybody that listens to the podcast or that relates to the podcast. It really means a lot to me. It really, really, really does. Thank you for listening. This is the Introverts Talk 2 podcast, and my name's Kirsten. If you want to follow me on my socials for this podcast, My TikTok for this podcast is Introverts Talk To Podcast. And then my Instagram is Introverts Talk To. But I post mostly on my Introverts Talk To on TikTok. So I would love if you check those out. I would love if you commented about my podcast. Let me know what you think about the podcast, if you like it. And I'll be back with another episode very soon. All right, I'm done talking now. So thanks for listening. Goodbye. Have a wonderful day. That sounds mean. Let me backtrack. Let me try it again. Okay. Have a great day. I do genuinely mean that. And I hope to have you back listening to the next episode, which will be around shortly. So, bye.